Welcome everyone to Technical Proof Getting Real. Today we're talking to Principal Engineer at Vimeo, Paul Mendoza, and we're talking about AI and specifically tools that we can use in post-production or in video creation. So, Paul, how are you? Nice to see you.
Hey, Ben. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm doing all right.
All right, good deal. So I found out about you. We have like an internal Slack group called Creative Coding where people post their projects, and I was really blown away by a little tutorial that you did, and I thought it would be fun to have you on and talk people through it. So let me just switch slides here or screens, scenes. This is what we're talking about today: AI tools for post. And where we're going to start is with the clip you made, and we'll just play it through and see how it goes. We'll react to it. All right, so cool. You're telling us how to make that little astronaut guy doing a boogie in space, and here you are. Looks like
Yeah.
creating it, track and stabilize.
So all this you're seeing right now is just like all After Effects work, and then some Blender stuff.
And you do like rotoscoping in After Effects?
Yeah.
All right. And then you add the noise. I want to ask you about that after this is over, but it was really funny to me too how you have everything in step one, and then step two is like have fun or something like that.
Yeah, I was like, like it's just like a little bit of like draw the rest of the owl kind of energy.
Totally. Did you use an AI thing to make those little planets, or did you just whip those up somehow?
Yeah, I also use Stable Diffusion for the planets.
All right, cool. That was your clip. I try to kind of infer what all was involved in that, but these are what I was thinking. You shot your video on what? On iPhone or something like
Yeah, just
that,
my
or a
phone.
camera? How did you do the image stabilization?
So yeah, image stabilization was all done in After Effects, and I think it was just like super basic
Yeah.
stabilization. Just need to like track the 2D in plane, and basically I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to make it so like the base is like stuck in
Yeah.
like one area that I could crop to.
Right. Did you have to kind of do that and keep the base stationary or stuck to that area because it helps the AI later in the process?
A little bit. I also I knew that I was going to make this specifically for like social media, so like having that like phone view. And so
Oh
as you're
yeah.
kind of like walking back and forth, I'm like, okay, well I don't want some like wide, shot. So it's also kind
Oh
of a
yeah.
cinematography thing. Like I want it to be like in the view the whole time.
Okay. And then the next thing you did was you rotoscoped yourself. So you kind of like masked yourself out and cut out all the background.
Yeah, and all that was done again with After Effects.
After
The
Effects, yeah.
Roto tool, Roto Brush in After Effects is awesome. Also, AI tool. It's kind of just like a click and play. I think it took around like 10
Oh
minutes to
really?
do because it
Oh,
just kind
that's
of like
awesome.
you just kind of like paint yourself in and then hit play and it'll like track you. Then I can get rid of the background and Stable Diffusion doesn't have to worry about like everything in the background.
All that jazz, that
Just me.
background stuff.
Yeah, we're just doing me.
Okay. And then after you did that, that's when you went in and you got your Blender astronaut. So like Blender is a 3D modeling program. So
Yeah.
you were in Blender, you created a simple astronaut helmet in Blender, and then do you somehow export that as an object and then you put that in After Effects and you just like plop it on your head, or what do you got going on there?
Yeah, so initially my plan was to use Blender object tracking to like track my head so that I could, actually kind of like put the helmet on and have it make
Hmm.
sense.
Oh yeah,
But my
yeah.
phone didn't record at a high enough resolution. Like I was too
Oh
far back.
no.
and I couldn't like
Yeah.
track it. So I just put the footage in Blender and then
Hmm.
manually keyframed the helmet back and forth.
Okay.
I knew it
Okay.
just needed to be kind of like a rough thing, and then I exported all that out as like a PNG sequence that I just
Okay.
overlaid with the footage.
Do you add the noise in Blender, or did you bring the project back into After Effects to add that like
Yeah,
white noise?
so I brought that Blender rendering into After Effects, laid it over the rotoscoped footage,
Hmm.
and then applied the noise. So what the noise does is it kind of just like gives Stable Diffusion like just a little more to work with. Otherwise, it kind of gets stuck of like how close it's going to resemble the original image. I
Okay.
didn't want it to get stuck on just like, okay, it's got to be these colors. So just kind of
Yeah.
like throwing in a little bit of chaos just kind of gives it
Nice.
a little more to work with.
So it doesn't like overthink it and or take it too
Yeah,
literally or
yeah.
something.
But also
Just
like me not having to like pump up the like slider so that it like just gives me something that I don't want at all.
got it. So yeah, that's the next step, right? So you exported an image sequence, and then so image to image is part of Stable Diffusion. Is that right? Is that like a tool built into Stable Diffusion?
Correct.
Okay. A lot of people are maybe familiar with ChatGPT, where you give it a prompt and then it writes out some text. This is an image thing, but we're not creating images from scratch, right? You can do that with Stable Diffusion. Make me a watercolor painting of people feeding ducks or whatever, and it just tries to do that. But this is like you're priming it with an image and then going what make you put your prompt actually in the video. It's like make a
Yeah.
astronaut
So you
out of
still need the
this.
prompt, and like you were saying, like you can just generate images from scratch, but then you kind of don't know what you're gonna get. I think at the time I had made this like image to image was just like starting to get like decent, and I I was like, damn, this is cool. Definitely want to use this somehow. Because it's basically just like, yeah, you're taking like an initial photo and like using another prompt. I think I used like Funky Spaceman or something. Um,
Yeah.
and like Stable Diffusion will try to stick to like the initial like pixel values, and then will, depending on how crazy you want it to get, like you can get further and further away from that.
Okay.
But if you stay pretty close to like the original image, then um, it gives me what I was looking for, which is like,
Yeah.
I want it to stay in this kind of like shape.
Got it. Yeah. What I've seen actually another video that someone did on YouTube of him like in a kind of a samurai outfit doing like a cyberpunk rendition, running around with a sword and stuff. And then I've also like recently, I know you made this like, I don't know, was it 6 months ago? It was a while ago. I've seen a filter or something for Instagram now that kind of does this effect. Have you do you know what I'm talking
I
about?
think
Have
I
they
think
kind of
it's like kind of
operationalized
like
this
the
process?
almost like the anime filter sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like an
yeah.
anime
It's like
filter.
it's the exact same thing, like an image to image process, but
Uh-huh.
really like honing in, like the now there are things out called like control net that you can basically uh, like image to image requires like Stable Diffusion really relies on those underlying pixels, but with
Uh-huh.
control net you could like I could just have my outline just like a black silhouette, and I
Oh.
just like, hey, have this shape or have like this depth map, and
Uh-huh.
then and then Stable Diffusion could do anything with that.
Oh
um
wow.
and it doesn't rely on like you could be like, I want to be a purple dinosaur, and
Yeah.
like I don't have to do the whole like kind of dress like a spaceman sort of thing to like
Mm-hmm.
make it look correct.
That's really interesting. What did you like about working with these AI tools, and like, do you have any projects in the future that you're working on that would be using these type of technologies?
Yeah, for sure. So like historically, I've always been an animator, and I'm like okay at design, but I am just terrible at like drawing things. And so like I always rely on just like math or just some nice boxes and circle primitive shapes kind of coming together to be a thing.
Hmm.
And having Stable Diffusion kind of up the like artistry level of things that I can animate um, has been
Oh, that's
like my
interesting.
favorite thing about it, because I can really let my imagination go wild, and know that like
Yeah,
I can get maybe kind of close, and then rely on a lot of my like hacking in like After Effects and animation stuff to do everything else.
that's cool. And what about any new projects that you're working on?
Yeah, I'm actually working on a little music video that's leveraging um, some more image to image stuff to kind of like give um, like drawing, making things look like they're being drawn over and over and over again. So like
Oh,
using like an
wow.
original um, like art piece,
Yeah.
and then just slight variations of that, and it looks really cool because it's like it's being painted every frame or something.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really awesome. I hope you'll let me know when that's ready.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to see it. Well, cool. Thanks for coming on the show and talking us through this project. I was really inspired by it, and yeah, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Ben.
Cool. Thanks, Paul.